All right, the DOJ is now refusing the request of a federal judge. A judge for the Eastern District of Virginia asked the Department of Justice to submit a sworn declaration that it's backing off the anti-weaponization fund. The DOJ declined. Joining us, MS Now senior legal reporter Lisa Rubin, David Rohde back with us as well. Lisa, they declined to put it in writing that they will not pursue it.
That's correct, because they say, Katie, that the judge should essentially trust all of the representations that they've made so far. And those, according to a brief that they submitted, include Todd Blanche's congressional testimony. It includes court filings and includes what they say are twice saying so in open court. And they say there's no reason why the court needs declarations from members of the administration. But one of the things they're saying here is something I don't believe the administration has said before, which is that it implicates separation of power concerns for a judge in the judicial branch, obviously, to compel testimony from those in the executive branch. That is not something that they have found a problem with in the past. And indeed, this administration is replete with examples of judges asking the administration to put in writing effectively that they have complied with directives from the courts.
You're going to have to untangle that for me for a second, because my follow-up question was going to be, why won't they just put it in writing themselves if they're citing testimony from Todd Blanche? What's the difference? You're saying that they don't want to do it because they're worried about a separation of powers issue?
That is their stated reason for not wanting to do it. But I think that it goes further than that. If they put in a sworn declaration that they are not going to do it, and then they take steps to compensate these people, that is something worse than what they have already done. That would expose them to judicially imposed penalties, including potential criminal contempt. That's not something that the judge can do now. They say in this brief that they submitted today, we've already made these representations, and there are serious penalties for our having made these representations if they prove not to be true. But the penalties that could be imposed against them now, they're monetary sanctions from a court, or, for example, the Department of Justice could prosecute people for lying to Congress. But of course, this is the same Department of Justice that's making these representations in court. The idea that DOJ would prosecute the acting attorney general for lying to Congress is as nonsensical as anything I've ever heard.
David, how do you expect the reaction to be to this? I mean, the Republicans in Congress did not force the issue in the immigration bill that was being held up by this weaponization fund. They did not force it to be put in writing in the bill that the weaponization fund was gone and never to be resurrected. Democrats had tried to add that with amendments, but Republicans, even though they had said they wanted it, decided then to rely on the testimony of Todd Blanche. Is it your expectation that this will make them feel differently?
I don't think so. I think the president doesn't want this in writing. The president, has said, in interviews that he wants this fund. So I don't think the idea is completely dead. And I think Lisa, who knows the legal world better than I do, is correct in that. But this is a reflection. What this judge is doing in Florida reflects what judges have recently done in Chicago and Rhode Island and Washington, D.C. here. They have caught DOJ officials making, withholding information or making demonstrably false statements to federal judges. That hasn't happened in the federal courts for years. It was sort of an accepted thing that just the Justice Department would not want to lie to judges just because it would slow down so many of their cases. But the second Trump administration has done this repeatedly, and I think that's why you have this judge pushing back so aggressively, saying no. It's not sworn testimony from Todd Blanche. That's what the judge is arguing here, and that's why they need sworn statements. And so it's an amazing moment to have judges so openly being distrustful of a Justice Department.
Yeah, I mean, you're more in touch with this world than I am right now. Have the people who were going to apply for it or who did apply for this fund, have they dropped their applications, or are they still talking about getting their cash? I'm not sure myself, but I think it's more the president who has continued to talk about. It was in the very contentious, interview with Kristen Welker, our former colleague at NBC, and he's said several times that he thinks these people still deserve compensation. So I think it's, again, the president's own statements that are complicating the dynamic here.